Puglia, often called the heel of the Italian boot, is a region located at the southeastern extremity of the peninsula, stretching along both the Adriatic and the Ionian seas. Its rocky coasts, dotted with natural caves and steep cliffs, provide a unique and enchanting setting. Inland, ancient and medieval cities offer visitors numerous sites and architectural monuments steeped in history. The villages are still very much alive and have not lost any of their traditions. Here, an endless succession of festivities and cultural events are celebrated throughout the year. Puglia, a diverse and hilly land, promises a journey full of discovery. Bari is the capital of Puglia. It lies on the Adriatic coast and is an important tourist and commercial port. Every morning, local fishermen tenderize the freshly caught octopus using a very particular method. Bari has been a cultural crossroads since antiquity. Bari Vecchia, the historic center, is best discovered by wandering through its narrow, winding streets. Here, life is turned outwards, and people often meet in cafes that don't even have a sign. The famous orecchiette, a pasta made from durum wheat in the shape of little round ears, are made on the doorsteps before our very eyes. Then they're placed on wooden shelves to dry in front of the shop. Customers have only to stop by and pick up their bags, as long as they arrive early enough. Built in the 11th century, the basilica houses relics of St. Nicholas, who is said to have been brought to the town by sailors from Asia Minor. The basilica boasts a bright white limestone facade, a majestic rosette, and portals with sculpted columns resting on bulls. It's a fine example of the region's Romanesque architecture. The nave is outstanding. Frescoes with gilded paint extend into the chapel, brightening people's prayers. Throughout the year, pilgrims, both Catholics and Orthodox Christians, come to the crypt to pray. At the beginning of May, thousands of the faithful join the people of Bari for the Feast of St. Nicholas, which lasts for several days. Near the walls of the Swabian castle, a dress rehearsal is just finishing, and it's time for the big parade. A Sailors' Heritage Association is in charge of the festivities for this event. In a palpable mixture of good humor, apprehension, and agitation, hundreds of extras don their costumes and assume their roles for the historic procession that opens the Festa. To start the festivities, a large icon of St. Nicholas is placed on a symbolic boat. Several lucky participants pull this float, as believers follow behind. Performers and musicians from all over Europe stage shows honoring the saint's good works and the return of the relics to the town, where, according to legend, he had chosen the place for his sepulchre. celebration continues in the square in front of the basilica. From here, civil and religious dignitaries carry the painting into the church, as the church bells ring out to the glory of the city's protector. On the following day, the statue of St. Nicholas is carried from the cathedral to the port, where his relics had arrived 10 centuries before. This cortege, although more solemn, is still joyous. Placed on a fishing boat, the statue is taken around the harbor, while the faithful follow to pay their respects. At the end of the day, a huge crowd converges on the Mare to watch an air show organized by the Italian Air Force. The statue is then carried through the old town, aglow with spectacular illuminations. Specialized craftsmen have worked for decades to give St. Nicholas's Day a very special atmosphere. We travel further northwards up the coast to the Gargano promontory. This rocky spur juts into the waves of the Adriatic Sea. Nestled on this limestone massif is a protected natural reserve. With a rich biodiversity of more than 2,000 varieties of plants and nearly 200 species of birds, it's been a national park since 1991. Built on a rocky outcrop jutting into the sea, Vieste is the most popular tourist site in the area, popular for its white sandy beaches and its panoramic views. Its elevated position meant that the town was protected from attack from the sea by marauders. This little coast town in the province of Puglia was originally a Greek colony. But its steep, narrow streets surrounded by ramparts really evoke its medieval past, as do the castle and the Romanesque cathedral. Overhanging the sea, the castle was fortified by Frederick II. Today, it's occupied by the merchant navy. In summer, the streets are full of handicraft shops, ready for the arrival of tourists.
Questo.
Enjoying a temporary respite, the locals go shopping at the market, which abounds in regional specialities, such as caciocavallo cheese.
Quando la fa? Sì, sempre dopo le 9:30. Ah, dopo le 9:30, come fa?
Vieste is best known for its fishing port. Here, the waters are particularly rich and the catch is plentiful and varied. After a well-earned rest, the fishermen take advantage of the late afternoon sun to get back to work. As their vessels make their way rapidly through the waves, lines are strewn along the shores and nets hung from the picturesque trabucco. At night, activity moves to the port. Here, the trawlers are returning home with loaded holds. Michel is a fishmonger in Peschici, a neighboring town. He inspects the new catch that he'll sell the very next morning, with the very apt promise of fresh fish. Unloading must be done quickly. The first customers will be at his shop at daybreak. Fishermen of more modest means wait for the first light of day to lift their nets from their trabucco, an old platform from where they catch the cuttlefish that swarm at the foot of the cliffs. These little tentacled mollusks, popular with locals and visitors alike, come here to feed on juveniles sheltering from the open sea. Like squid and octopus, cuttlefish abound in the waters of the Gargano region. But this morning the fishermen are disappointed. The sea has not been very generous. Still, everyone will be able to count on his share of the catch, whether for personal consumption or for sale. That's not worth more than 4 or 5 euros. From its rugged cliffs plunging into the sea to its hidden coves, from the natural caves sculpted by the elements to the Genoese towers that proudly rise from rocky outcrops, the Gargano coast reveals constantly contrasting scenery. Peschici, a village not far from Vieste, overlooks a small port. The charm of the nearby coves and sandy beaches turn this quiet town into a very popular tourist destination as soon as summer approaches. Despite its typical scenery, the town is a far cry from the city founded in AD 970 by Slovenian slaves from the Holy Roman Empire. Michel is only too happy to welcome us into his fish shop. We look forward to seeing him at work, as do his usual customers, including Domenico Ottaviano, the talented young chef at the Al Trabucco di Mimi, a traditional restaurant in the village. Morning. Hello. Is this local fish? Oh yes, it's local. We've got a few red mullets. Are these alive? Oh yeah, they're fresh. You can eat them raw. And this is very good in soup. It's red. As soon as his fish are cleaned and wrapped, Domenico heads for the vegetable gardens. He knows the producers very well. At the foot of the village, Elia has a large kitchen garden that supplies the chef all year round.
What
are you picking, kohlrabi? Yeah, kohlrabi. Domenico is rightly proud of his vegetables' freshness. And his favorite market gardener works hard to provide him with the top-quality seasonal produce that he needs. It's very important to our cuisine to use the right produce at the right time. And to do that, we have to be close to our producer. It's really important to be right there on the spot. We've known each other since we were very young. We grew up together. We're family. I know his father, his grandfather, and everyone else working in the Trabucco restaurant. We have a very special terroir here. We're near the sea, so our soil is very fertile. It gives good produce. These are fava beans. Locally, we call them vungalo. We eat them raw, like this. The family trabucco, or fishing jetty, is nearby. It houses Domenico's restaurant, named after him. The Ottaviano trabucco has been in the family for 5 generations. All the siblings help to maintain this very old structure. Carlo, the restaurateur's father, often calls on friends for the toughest jobs. You're too high. Down here, I'm fine. You don't realize it from up there. You're rather high up. This trabucco is a passion, a labor of love. We don't see it simply as a place for fishing. It's a true love story. It's like a beautiful woman. You have to constantly caress her to keep her in good condition. And that goes for a trabucco as well. Emblematic of the Gargano coast, trabucchi were invented by the Phoenicians 2,000 years ago in order to solve the problem of fishing during stormy weather. The cabins are perched up on a wooden platform above the sea. Suspended from long poles, nets are lowered into the sea below, taking schools of passing fish by surprise. On the deck, Salvatore sits cutting up squid, as he does every day. Giuseppe looks on with a watchful eye. You making something for us to eat? Let's work first, we'll eat later on. The cuttlefish are soaked in seawater and rocked by the waves in order to tenderize their flesh. Then they're hauled in, cleaned and gutted. Next step, the grill. The kitchens are going full blast. Inspired by his morning purchases, Domenico dons his chef's attire and gives his orders to his team. They hurry to their respective posts, determined to bring out the very best of these simple regional products. The plates are then beautifully presented. We offer fresh food, a cuisine that respects the seasons of both the sea and the land. We use local raw ingredients, and insofar as possible, from organic farms. Our objective is to valorize lesser-known species, such as octopus and herring. Caratiano, it's ready. You can serve it now. The terrace on the platform is packed. Both locals and well-informed vacationers appreciate the aroma of the dishes, as well as this singular setting with its breathtaking views of the horizon.
La grigliata di pesce dal nord Europa. Dall'Olanda. Adesso porto i piattini vuoti. Sì, ce n'è una.
As night falls, Carlo, still at work on his nets, hastens to finish his task. Far from the hustle of the seaside resorts, the Foresta Umbra on the peninsula's heights is one of the rare primary forests in Italy. Classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this forest has walks that are as bewitching as they are disturbing. Under the evergreen oaks, linden trees, pines and maples, not to mention the towering beech trees, the trail becomes dark and obscure, a darkness from which the forest takes its name. The Umbra forest is divided into highly regulated zones, some of which are closed to the public. This primeval beech forest thus remains an active, fertile breeding ground for the many species of animals and plants which live there. We travel much further south to Polignano a Mare, also known as the Pearl of the Adriatic. This coastal village is perched above its small port, which alone incarnates the gentle way of life so typical of Puglia. Founded in the 4th century BC by Greek settlers who named it Neapolis, the citadel then fell under the control of the Romans, who changed its name to Polignanum. The spectacular Ponte Lama Monachile is a vestige of this imperial period. Once part of the Trajan Way, this viaduct crosses a former riverbed, and now gives onto the very popular beach of Cala Porto. The city has been ruled by the Byzantines, the Normans, the Angevins, the Aragonese, and then the Venetians. All of these foreign occupations left distinct cultural and architectural marks. The Marcisali Archway, an imposing stone doorway, is the only entrance into the old town and leads us to the main square with its many cafes and restaurants. Strolling through the narrow, winding streets, the observant walker will notice poetry inscriptions painted in white and black strewn here and there about the streets and alleyways. Some of them are the work of prestigious writers such as Torquato Tasso. And anyone courageous enough to climb up to the balconies above will have a spectacular view of the coastline. Far from the bustling crowds, Peppino Campanella's atelier is open to the public. A native son, the artist has quite simply returned to his roots and to his inspiration after studying in Florence. The sculptor's passion for the sea, its subtle colors and its contrasting light has always been at the core of his work, and so has finally led him to the creation of light fixtures. I use glass because it's the best diffuser of light.
Così come noi lo lavoriamo.
We work in glass to reproduce reflections reminiscent of the sea. It's like liquid light. That's what I like about working with glass. The first glass I worked with were pieces that had been fashioned by the sea itself. Pieces that I'd actually found on the beach. They'd been shaped by nature, and I used them as I'd found them, without even cutting them. Over and over again, the sculptor carefully repeats precise and delicate gestures, as if he were actually handling real precious gems. To the south of the village, countless little beaches protected by coastal dunes delight lovers of bathing in the sea and relaxation. But the region is also known for its important agricultural production. Puglia has the largest number of olive trees in the country and produces 40% of Italy's annual olive oil production. From amongst the groves, the conical roofs of the famous Trulli appear. These small circular stone constructions, often painted white, are typical of the Murge Plateau, the central region of Puglia. The oldest of these buildings dates to the 12th century. They were used as seasonal dwellings for workers or sometimes as peasants' homes. Today, many of the Trulli are in ruins and covered by vegetation. Recently, however, there has been a renewed interest in these curious structures. Whether they've become unique country dwellings or vacation homes for holidaymakers, Trulli are making a comeback. Restorations and new constructions are multiplying, but in accordance with strict regulations.
Trulli è una costruzione tipica della Valle d'Itria.
Trulli are typical of the Itria Valley. You're certain to come across them in this part of Puglia.
La sua peculiarità legata più che altro alla tipologia della pietra che è abbondante.
The stone used to make them is very abundant in this region and lends itself readily to this type of construction.
Il basamento della Puglia che si trova abbondante.
The stone here is limestone. It's very resistant and easy to work.
Calcare, che ha appunto una grande resistenza ma allo stesso tempo è lavorabile.
Pinto and his apprentice Luca are amongst the rare trullisti still in activity. These stonemasons, specializing in the building and repair of trulli, must fully master this highly skilled trade. The construction of these conically shaped roofs is a particularly laborious task that demands hours of meticulous work. The masons have to measure, to cut, and to adjust the limestone blocks individually and then assemble them one by one. Once the cut stone vault is completed, it's covered with small flagstones laid in inclined courses in order to protect the trulli from rain. The rather bright interiors consist of a series of modest-sized adjoining rooms. The stone walls are very thick, so the trulli are pleasantly cool during the summer and conserve the heat during the winter. Numerous in the Itria Valley, the pointed roofs of these conical houses pierce the skyline of the entire region. It's impossible to visit the region without going to Alberobello, known as the capital of the Trulli. This small town has over 1,500 Trulli in the Rione Monti and Aia Piccola districts alone. They've been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Trulli here are carefully preserved and maintained. Every 2 years, the walls are lime-washed in order to retard the oxidation that dulls their color. While the Trulli along the streets in Aia Piccola have escaped tourism and remain simple homes, many of those in the Rione Monti district have, for the most part, become souvenir shops. Only slightly further north are the outskirts of Putignano in the province of Bari, slightly inland. This small inland town is famous for its medieval carnival, the longest in Italy and the oldest in Europe. Festivities begin every year on the 26th of December and last until Mardi Gras. The Companoni Forge is located at the edge of the town and houses a workshop for the papier-mâché artists who work continually on the design of the famous allegorical carts. These giant sculptural floats depict romantic, satirical, and politically virulent scenes. Based on an annual theme, these reflections of contemporary issues are made by dozens of different artists. It's the imagination of each participant that makes the difference, and the works thus created are as different as they are astonishing. On Mardi Gras, the entire population of the town and the neighboring region crowds into the historic center. At the end of the carnival, the crowd freely joins in the antics, disguising themselves and dancing and singing in the streets, perpetuating a tradition that's over 600 years old. The Putignano Carnival began in 1394. At that time, the Apulian coast was regularly the victim of Turkish raids. Fearing pillage, the local authorities moved the relics of St. Stephen away. On the 26th of December, the relics left the coastal town of Monopoli for Putignano, which was further inland and more protected. According to legend, the local farmers followed the sacred procession. Over the years, it has lost its religious character and is now an easygoing, secular event. The carnival remains, however, an occasion for artists to transmit a message, sometimes with exuberance, but always with humor. This year, once again, the musicians, actors and acrobats have worked hard in order to offer a meticulously planned and spectacular show. All the more spectacular under the magical lights in the night. The parade ends late at night and marks the end of the carnival. We leave this festive atmosphere and travel south towards the province of Trento. Grottaglie, the ceramics capital of the region, should not be missed. The town is located in a limestone region which is characterized by many caves as well as vast and deep ravines. The limestone is particularly prone to the formation of clay, which is abundant in the region. Grottaglie has exploited this useful material and developed a thriving ceramics industry. The town centre has many well-known workshops and even a museum dedicated to the subject. Nicola Fasano is a local personality. His family have been ceramists for 18 generations, and his commissions come from all over the world.
It's important for me to show everything that we're capable of doing here. It may well be very old, but this workshop is always open to new ideas and to transforming clay into something useful. Over 70 years old, Nicola hasn't lost any of his passion for an art that he never ceases to reinvent. I began working with clay 50 years ago. My grandfather taught me the basic techniques. And he transmitted a real passion for ceramics and for this profession. And for me, it's become an art. I'm very often inspired by famous artists, such as Miro, Mondrian, or Picasso. But I've also developed my own personal style. Far from the popular image of the solitary artist, Nicola Fasano often relies on other specialists. Painting, for example, can be a bit tricky. Everything is in the details, such as the surprising moustache drawn on the face of this female figurine. Once finished, the pieces are exhibited in an underground gallery. This large collection of works is entirely handmade. The larger pieces are stored on the roof of the workshop. With olive and citrus groves as well as vineyards, masseria are intrinsic to the Puglia region. The long history of these vast agricultural estates is the pride of their owners, starting with Angelo Lipolis. A masseria is an agricultural establishment, a farm, a workplace. Most were built between the 15th and 16th centuries by large landowners who regrouped equipment and built large buildings in order to optimize the work done by the peasants who tilled the soil. Merchandise and agricultural products were also stocked there. A masseria is, in fact, an agricultural village. Nearby Angelo's Masseria Palombara, the small town of Oria stands on a hillside, proudly presiding over the surrounding countryside. Once the scene of long and bitter struggles between powerful interests, the town is now calm, but has lost none of its charm. The Oria Cathedral, dedicated to Our Lady of the Assumption, is a Baroque basilica famous for its polychrome mosaic dome. Nicknamed Little St. Peter's, the church contains important 18th century frescoes, several statues of the Venetian and Neapolitan schools, and a crypt containing 11 mummies. Angelo likes to buy cheese at Pipino's near the edge of the old town. Hello, I'd like some stracciatella and some mozzarella. But first I'd like to taste the mozzarella.
Well, of course. You'll tell me what you think of it. And how's the family?
The back of the shop is not only a workroom, it's also a laboratory of creation. It's here that Giuseppe and his wife daily apply the know-how that he inherited from his family, a task of which he never tires. His meticulous movements, his precise tempo, and his careful attention to his recipes are just some of the secrets that have allowed him to surpass all his competitors for the specialities that have made the reputation of Apulian cuisine, mozzarella and burrata.
In
Apulia, we have a particular microclimate. It's influenced by both the sea and the wind. And it causes a particular type of grass to grow here. Animals that eat this grass produce a unique type of milk, and it's only found in our region. And the production chain for mozzarella, stracciatella, and burrata is perfectly suited for using this type of milk. Not without a certain amount of pride, Giuseppe finishes his demonstration by molding a burrata. In the adjoining shop, Angelo happily completes his shopping. Peppino is the king of mozzarella. Every morning for 7 generations, this family has worked with fresh organic milk, and the result is there. It's the best mozzarella in Apulia.
Nessun conservante, solo biologico. La più buona mozzarella di Puglia.
Grazie, arrivederci.
Grazie, ciao.
Today, many masseria have been converted into guest houses. They often propose discovery tours of the regional cuisine. In Palombara, the head chef draws his inspiration from this large vegetable garden and its organically grown produce. I'm very emotional about this place. I love my farm. My wife and I inherited it from my parents. It's been in our family for over 5 generations, and it's a great privilege to work here. This masseria is composed of several historic buildings constructed between 1550 and 1850. We have 20 rooms. People from around the entire world have come here to discover Apulian culture, as well as good food and good wine. The first guests are, in fact, just getting ready to eat.
And the young chef, busy in his kitchen, is going to prepare them a feast. His secret, simplicity. Apulian cuisine is reputed for its fresh, healthy, and convivial character. The quality and the freshness of the local products needs no fanciful embellishment. A drizzle of olive oil and the dish is ready to serve. We continue southwards to explore more fine regional products. Let's start with the Apulian wines. Different grape varieties are grown in the region, but Primitivo is one of the most emblematic. Similar to the American Zinfandel grape, its American cousin, both varieties descend from the Tribidrag grape, a Croatian variety. Profiting from a warm climate, this black grape variety produces a strong fruity flavor. It was first cultivated by Benedictine monks, who gave it its name in reference to its early ripening. It's often harvested as early as the beginning of August. In the Morella family vineyard, harvesting is accompanied by the sound of singing. Each parcel of the vineyard gives a different and distinct wine. The oldest vines are more than 75 years old. They generally produce the finest tasting wines from the domain. According to the tenets of biodynamics, the grapes are picked by hand. They're transported in small containers so as not to damage them. Despite his casual air, Gaetano keeps a close eye on things and makes sure that the different grapes are kept separate. At the cantina, every step in the wine production is duly controlled, from the sorting to the pressing and right up to the maturation. Lisa, Gaetano's wife, is a hard worker. Originally from Australia, she fell under the charm of this region and its terroir. She's never left the region since and knows it like the back of her hand.
In order to make an excellent Primitivo, you have to have old, healthy vines, like the ones we have here. It's essential. If you don't start with a good grape, you'll never have a good Primitivo.
For a long time reserved for bulk and blended wines, Primitivo has recently risen in the esteem of many enologists, notably thanks to the high standards needed to obtain the designation of Di Manduria. We head towards Ostuni. Here, Antonio Capriglia, an agronomist, directs an association for the preservation of regional heritage vegetables. These plots were abandoned for 40 years. During the Middle Ages, they were cultivated as vegetable gardens to feed the village, which was then called Mezzapico. Our first idea was to produce organically grown produce. We already knew how to grow it, and we were close to a town. What you see there are exclusively heritage varieties from Puglia. Thanks to the work of the Bari Conservatory and other local plant growers, these varieties can once again be planted and grown. We cultivate these vegetables, we reproduce them, and we select them. We try to improve their quality. Ostuni is a popular tourist center. This hilltop town presides over a vast plain of olive trees that stretches towards the sea. Its maze of small streets, although no longer surprising to us, is somewhat different from that of the other nearby towns. Ostuni is also called the White Town, and very few of the buildings in the old town are of any other color. This color, so particular to Ostuni, is a legacy from the times when lime was used. Formerly, the inhabitants whitewashed their homes in order to protect them from the plague, a scourge that regularly struck the region in the past. At the end of August, the town celebrates Saint Orontius, who is reputed to have saved the town from a plague in the 17th century. A large gold and silver statue of the saint was made by a Neapolitan artist with the help of the Vatican. Every year, the statue is carried through the town to the glory of Saint Orontius of Lecce. The long procession snakes through the streets under the attentive gaze of the crowd.
Risplenda nella loro vita il primato di Dio, l'unione con
A large and solemn cavalcade closes the cortege. The skill of the horsemen, the behavior of their mounts, and the attention paid to their costumes are all judged and the winners awarded prizes at a contest that's very popular with the public. As the climax to the show, the evening ends with a traditional and magnificent display of fireworks offered by the municipality. Lecce, in the south of Puglia, is the capital of Baroque and Rococo architecture. The Basilica di Santa Croce is a tribute to the imagination and mastery of the stonecutters. It merits the detour, if only to be admired for its richly decorated facade, entirely sculpted in different motifs. It was built between the 16th and 17th centuries by the most renowned architects of the town. A large Roman amphitheater testifies to the importance of the town during the time of the Emperor Hadrian. Built between the 2nd and 1st centuries BC, it was only rediscovered and excavated at the beginning of the 20th century. Lecce has more than 40 churches. Many of them can be seen from the well-frequented pedestrian streets. The St. Oronzo Square near the amphitheater is the beating heart of the historic center. The square, surrounded by a mixture of Gothic, Renaissance and Baroque palaces, is dominated by a statue of the patron saint of the town placed on an antique column. Under a kiosk, an orchestra enlivens the scene to the sound of classical music. At the extremity of Italy's boot is the heel of Salento. This region consists of a vast limestone plain covered in olive groves that gives way on the western side to the fine sand beaches of the Ionian Sea. And there, the warm turquoise waters invite swimmers to contemplate the brilliant cliffs sculpted by time. Poetry Cave, one of the most visited natural pools in the world, is the result of millennia of sea erosion. Every summer, its elliptical shape lures daring divers and people curious to discover the Greek and Latin inscriptions engraved on its walls. Basking in the sun, resting cradled near the waves, boat trips. Southern Italy could not be more charming. It's at the convergence of the Adriatic and Ionian Seas that we leave Puglia and its famous dolce vita. From the inspiring creativity of its artisans to the generosity of its cuisine, from its enchanting wild coasts to its rigorous architecture, Puglia offers us a delightful immersion into a region that we will yearn to revisit.